This Soonerscoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. There can be only one LASIK center for Sooner Scoop, and that's Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIKs.
Hello and welcome back. Eddie Radosevich, Josh McCuistion here from the Soonerscoop.com studios on a Friday evening. Just wrapped up day 4 of the Brent Venables Football Camp, and a lot of guys that either had commit or that were committed. Jalen ONeal was in town today, making the short drive over from Mustang, and then a number of big-time defensive tackles that were here on Friday boarding in the boarding session with working with Todd Bates and Bill Chavis. We'll go over all of them, but overall, pretty good camp on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, this was the camp, we were waiting for. And I really think the afternoon session was solid, but the morning was really, I think that was the best session we've had of the 4 days.
Maybe two of the better defensive tackles for their respective classes, 2027 and 2028, with Jaylen Brewster and Kellen Hall. We'll get to them in a second, but we have to start with the Oklahoma quarterback, who I think in a way, has kind of gone under the radar by some means because of the weirdness around 2026 recruiting with Bo Bentley. But Jalen ONeal was in town today and put on pretty good performance this afternoon.
Yeah, Mustang in general rolled out to this. I mean, we had coaching staff. We had, Dad was there. Jaron, Jaden's dad. There was a real presence of Mustang there. And again, Jayden, Eddie, he came and does what he does, man. He's a really talented passer. And there was a point we were kind of talking about, have we seen him make that big throw? And then literally we look up and he made one of the best throws I saw all day. It's frankly
just an
saw through the whole
seed
camp
over the middle.
Yeah.
Certainly, I think one of the things that sticks out when you're talking about Jalen ONeal, physicality-wise, he is a big man.
He is, and I would say in the last year, he's leaned out a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it looks like he's carrying it better. Like from when I saw him, I guess when we saw him last summer at camp. But I thought he looked really good. His footwork's, he's what you expect when you're talking about an elite quarterback that's going to a place like Oklahoma. Like he moves really well. The thing I noticed more than last year, I thought his accuracy was really good. Like even and I know people are like, oh, it's on air or whatever. I watch guys airmail throws on air all the time, even players that I think are pretty good quarterbacks.
Good feel for creating chemistry, if you will.
And he was just on point. Look at him just moving through that drill. Like he's, and he's done it a million times because he works at it. But I continue to be impressed. I know On3's ranking of him is not where people want it to be, and and probably including himself and some people around him. I disagree with the ranking. I think Jalen ONeal is at least a top 150 guy. I like him a lot.
Spent a lot of time with Michael Hawkins Jr. today while in Norman. And, you I guess, kind of look for things or clues. And, obviously the way that his recruiting has gone, is he looking elsewhere? It seems like he has a pretty good relationship with the staff. He talked to quite a few of the staffers there today, spent a lot of time with the current players as well.
Yeah, that was the thing. When he first walked in, when I first noticed him, the first guy he talked to was Jay Valai. This is a guy that doesn't just know Ben Arbuckle or Kucieski. I never say that right.
Coach Kuz.
We'll just go with Kuz. I keep trying to be overzealous. But he knows the whole staff. He knows everybody. And so there's a real kind of comfort, confidence, whatever you want to call it. And it shows.
This is no, I thought this was the throw, but that's a really good throw.
Not a thing wrong with that. Again, he's the thing I will say is one of our new guys that was out there with us, he was like,
that's the throw right there.
Yes. And they're like, he's bigger than I thought he was. I don't think people understand. Jaden's a legitimate 6'3" and some change and probably 205. He's a big, sturdy kid. I think people, I don't know why. Maybe it's because Oklahoma over the last few years has signed smaller guys. Sure. But Jalen ONeal is a big, sturdy, kind of prototypical quarterback.
We'll be seeing plenty of Jalen ONeal here over the next couple of months, obviously, as he makes his debut for the Mustang Broncos coming up this season over in Mustang, Oklahoma. Let's go to the boarding session because I think that we walked away pretty jazzed up about this. We can start with 2027 defensive lineman Jaylen Brewster out of Cedar Hill. We've talked about him here before. I think that you saw him, was it the Under Armour camp?
Houston, yeah.
Or the Houston camp?
Houston Under Armour. But
Houston Under Armour camp, but certainly one of the better defensive tackles in the country.
He's a killer. I have seen him, last year at OU's camp. Obviously, like you mentioned, saw him in Houston, and then seeing him in this, he he just kills everybody. Like, I mean, and he's really good. They moved him around. He even lined up some at, defensive end a little bit and had some solid reps there. I mean, he's clearly a defensive tackle. But, again, like, just I almost feel like I'm repeating myself here a little bit with what I just said about Jalen ONeal. Understand the guy you're watching right now moving like this is 6'3" and 290 pounds. Like, I mean, this is he carries it so well. Mm-hmm. I don't think people understand how big he is. I mean, look, Todd Bates played in the SEC, and look at Jalen standing next to him. I mean, Jalen is a super impressive physical guy, and I will say from an OU perspective, Eddie, I want to say this is like his 5th, 6th trip to Oklahoma in the last year. Like, OU is a school that is very, very much in the running for him.
When you're talking about Jaylen Brewster, obviously talking about a national recruitment, who are some of the teams that Oklahoma's going to really have to fend off?
Yeah, Oregon is one of those ones you're going to talk a lot about. Now, what's interesting is Texas kind of was slow to the race a little bit with him. And I don't think it's so late in his recruitment that it's going to hurt him. But I do think OU and Oregon in particular have kind of edged out in front there a little bit. Now, there's time. Like I said, it'll change. But I would say those three are going to be very real contenders. Texas A&M is going to be in that conference. I mean, a lot of the usual suspects.
The usual suspects for the best defensive tackles in the country. And thing that you got to remember with Jaylen Brewster, he's just going into his junior season, which is kind of incredible.
Yeah, he is. Again, and this is a guy, this is not a guy that grew up playing defensive line his whole life. I mean,
running back, right?
I can't say it enough. He played running back his freshman year at Cedar Hill. Like, I mean, and that's what wows me. Like, so you watch him in these drills where he's not just like, okay, I mean, because we see lots of big guys that'll come in and they win with bull rush, or they win with, like Bruce Lee Roberts yesterday, where he's winning with agility and quickness. Look at that counter move. Like, that's not something a guy his age is supposed to be able to do. And the guy beats him. He gets him right where he wants him. Jaylen immediately reads it. He gets that guy off balance, and he's dead. Like, the guy was dead, and he didn't know it. And there's no fault of the offensive lineman there. He's never faced a kid that can do that. And again, so I mean, Jaylen Brewster is going to be a 5-star. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. Like, that is a reality. This is him working at the edge. Again, is that where he's going to be home? No. But he's quick enough to even do it. It's just crazy.
And I believe that's against Luke Wilson, who we'll talk about here in a second, earned an Oklahoma offer on Friday morning as well. Jaylen Brewster, certainly going to be somebody that we will discuss here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel, I'm sure, for the next 2 years until he makes his decision. We'll get to Cooper Hackit in a second. One more defensive tackle to get through, and another really impressive physical specimen. And this guy's even younger. A 2028 product out of Louisville, Kentucky Christian Academy. Kellen Hall standing at 6. We have him in the On3 database at 6'4", 260. Maybe a little bit heavier than that these days. He was very, very impressive.
Eddie, I was trying to kind of rack my memory a little bit going through all the years I've covered camps at Oklahoma. I don't remember. I mean, there's a very real conversation. We saw 3 top 10 players in their classes.
It's crazy.
And with Cooper, who we're going to talk about, Jaylen Brewster, who we just did, and now Kellen Hall.
27, 28, 29.
I mean, it is Kellen Hall in 28. I mean, again, like I knew OU offered him early. He's a kid from Kentucky, not a place that OU does a lot of work usually. And you were like, well, they must see something. I'm not kidding you. Like, and I put something like this on the board, between the AM and afternoon sessions. Even during like when they're working slow motion stuff with him and they were working on dip drills, you were like, that's unusual. He can move. Like he looked twitchy going slow, and I don't even know how to explain that.
Right.
But like it was crazy. Like, again, this kid is going to be a sophomore in high school, and he is 6'4" and probably 265 pounds, and he moves like that. That's not that. I put it on the board. That's a mutant. That's not normal. People don't do these things. And again, I had never seen him in person before. I didn't know what to expect, and he far exceeded anything I would have thought of.
Just to be clear, you think there is a chance that he could be the number 1 player in the 2028 class?
I think
when it's all said and done?
I think that's a possibility. Yeah, I really do. And what is interesting about him is I don't know where he's going to play. I think he probably ends up a defensive tackle, but he's long enough that I wouldn't rule out him being like a big defensive end, kind of in the, I'm trying to think of some better examples. Some of the old, I think of old guys at LSU that played under like Nick Saban, Claiborne, Adrian Claiborne was at Iowa. It doesn't matter. But some of those big, like 290-pound ends, I could see him maybe being that guy, but I want to see, I mean, people listening, they know me. I want to slide him in and make him a 3 technique, and I think he would be an absolute monster.
It's obviously extremely early. Even with that said, his offer list is basically a who's who of the Southeastern Conference, as well as the big-time programs across the country. Louisville and Kentucky, obviously with those being in-state schools, and Louisville, here over the last couple of years, definitely getting their NIL situation together. Will it be a national recruitment? I'm guessing for him, even though there are some in-state suitors.
Yeah, he was offered by Ohio State yesterday. Okay, so it's going to be a battle for everybody involved. But the fact that he would make this trip, and it's a good early start, and that again, guys, we know that Oklahoma has to fight those battles a little bit, but this is how you do it. Like very much like Jake Cruel, they were in on Jake Cruel super early. They worked him really hard. They made him a priority. And now here we stand, probably 3 weeks from his decision date, and he's made OU's right where they want to be. So I think that's what you're looking for in this situation, to kind of build that early bond.
Kellen Hall, definitely a name to know. And remember, and if you're a recruiting person, I'm sure you will be more than familiar with his game here moving forward. All right, we've talked about Cooper Hackit. He made his debut at Oklahoma camp today, and I think that one of the things that you got to keep in perspective, like those two kids that we just talked about in Jaylen Brewster and Kellen Hall, he's even younger. 2029 out of Fort Gibson. You went out there and saw him about 2 weeks ago. We talked about him here on the Scoop Recruiting Report. But what'd you think of his day?
Well, now, he is a 27.
Or 28. You're 27.
You're thinking of Jax.
I'm thinking, damn it.
Yep.
Jax will... At least we got the name right this time.
Yes.
And we're calling him Max.
For those that watch this and kind of wonder, we've got more coming. This is... Today was too good.
Yeah.
We had some stuff that we had to cut, and we'll come back to.
Jax Wilkerson, though, but the wait's going to be worth it on Monday. The son of the late Jimmy Wilkerson, who started Oklahoma, tragically passed away right before the state championship, I believe. I know we talked about it a little bit on the unofficial 40. Neither here nor there. What did you think of Cooper Hackett's day?
Again, like when we went and saw him, Carrie and I went up there, like you said, a couple weeks ago, and you knew he was he's a freak and he's special and that kind of thing. What I love, though, in this really good offensive line group, or where there was another offer that went out, and we're going to talk about him in a second, he still stood out. Like, he's still physically, you were like, he's unusual. Again, like, you look at him right now.
I think there's a lot of people, Josh, that are going to look at him and say he's really skinny. It doesn't do it justice at 6'7".
No, because if I told you 6'7", you're like, oh, yeah, he's skinny. If I told you he's probably 260 to 265 pounds, you wouldn't believe it. But that's how big and long he is. And I think it's hard to have that perspective when he's around other big kids. When we went to Fort Gibson, you could see him hanging out with normal human beings that you walk past all the time. These kids in the video are all 6'4" and 6'5", and so it warps your perspective a little bit. But what I want people to watch, look at his feet. Look at that base he keeps. Look at the ground he eats up as he watch the guys next to him and look at their depth as he goes. Like, watch him change. He'll end up deeper and like he's at the numbers, and those other guys are still working. And that's no offense to them. That's the gifts he has. He's worked with J.R. Conrad. He's done a lot of the trench mafia stuff. So he knows what he needs to be doing out here, and he's familiar with these drills. And again, he's just going to get nothing but better. And for the people out there that will be like, oh, he's skinny, that kind of stuff, he's just going into his junior year of high school. I want you to look at some of the guys that are like Pro Bowlers in the NFL and go find what they were as juniors. Like, they were smaller than him. Like, he's ahead of the curve for some elite guys. I bet you money Lane Johnson didn't weigh 265 as a junior in high school.
Running around playing quarterback.
100%. Like, he was probably 230 at best. This is him against Kellen Hall right here. And again, it's a good counter from Kellen, but Cooper Kellen has done some camps, that kind of stuff. Cooper, this is all a little new to him. You see it. He oversets, he gets caught inside. And then, he's trying to play catch up the whole way here, and then Kellen's just good enough to beat him back. I'm not mad about any of that. Like either side. Like both those guys are just two really talented guys. But anybody that doesn't see what Cooper Hackit can be,
Sure.
leave it to Bill Bedenbaugh. Leave it to guys like Jim Nagy, those kind of guys. They know what they're looking at, and this kid's a priority, and he should
I'd say
be.
the shoulders, too. That's usually
Yes.
a pretty good, I guess, precursor or characteristic of somebody that's going to be able to gain weight once he gets into a bigger program.
Yeah, Eddie. I mean, that's never been my problem. So, yeah, I got you.
It's different areas that we have to be concerned about. All right, let's move on because there was another offer that was put out in between the camps to take him out on the tour. South Lake Carroll, obviously a school that Oklahoma is rather familiar with. Luke Wilson, what did you think about his day? 6'6", 250 is what we have him listed at. Maybe a little bit heavier?
Yeah, I thought he was a little bigger than that.
Okay.
And what I saw, I liked. I mean, again, I won't say he was a guy that I came in and had a lot of focus in because, again, we had a group to really watch here. I think with this kind of situation, you're talking about a guy very raw, but he's a guy with the measurables you're looking for. I'm going to bet he tested well. Some of the, check some of those boxes for the front office guys. But look, he'll fight. He'll stick in. But you can tell he's still figuring it out, guys. At 250 pounds, look at him. Okay.
And should say 2027.
Yes.
So same class as some of the other guys.
Same class as Cooper. And, again, he doesn't even know yet, about bounce sets and stuff like that. He's not setting up that kind of stuff. So there's still a lot of raw to his game that we're going to have to kind of work our way through and figure out. But there's absolutely potential there. So I think this is kind of a situation where you offer a kid like this, you continue to evaluate, and then you kind of let it work itself out. If he goes to the level where he can,
sure,
then you've got something.
Luke Wilson picks up a offer. Another South Lake Carroll Dragon that was in Norman on Friday. I almost said Saturday. I don't know why. But currently does have an Oklahoma offer. Wide receiver Brody Nulls.
Yeah, Brody, didn't take long to notice Brody. I love having a guy like this where you can see the hair, he's got the whole flow. He's easy to spot. On top of all that, he's 6'4" and 190 pounds. And he's a standout amongst the wide receivers. So what I will say that I like about him is, again, he's one of those guys that I talk about all the time. If a wide receiver doesn't work out, you can easily pivot him into a tight end. He has a big enough frame where he could at least be a flex type of guy. But look at his feet. Again, you're talking about 6'4", 190, just going into his junior year. He's a South Lake Carroll kid. So very well coached. He's grown up in that program. He's not a guy that's new to it or anything like that. But you can see it. This is a kid that's worked with trainers and he gets it. He knows what he's doing out there, and he's very comfortable. And I'm always surprised with how smooth he is for a guy that big.
I was told to go back and look at the state championship game, and they just throw jump balls to him the entire game. And I would do the same.
Yes.
I think Riley Dodge knows what he's doing down there with offensively.
Let's not overcomplicate it.
With South Lake Carroll. Brody Nulls was in town. Lastly, let's go back to the morning session. And a guy that I think really kind of made a name for himself on Friday morning. 2027 defensive end, I would imagine. Is that where they're going to envision him? Out of Denver Mullins High School, Troy Maiolo.
Yeah, a guy that, again, some of these guys we know about.
Yeah.
This is not a guy I had on my list as a guy that I was going to watch. Look at him sink his hips and turns. That's a corner. That's crazy. And it was one of those things where you're like, okay, I don't have a clue who this kid in the purple shorts is, but I got to figure it out. So, in drills, I thought he might have been the best guy there. He was right there with Kellen Hall and Jaylen Brewster. I thought he was truly exemplary. In one-on-ones, I thought, you saw him kind of he had to battle a little bit more. But at the same time, clearly, OU offered him. It's not an accident. He was good in one-on-ones. He was so good in drills. I kind of thought he just wreck shop.
Sure.
And he won his fair share of reps, but it was a little different. But again, I like the length. I like the feet. This is, you talk about guys who can turn the corner, sink under an offensive tackle, and then kind of explode to the quarterback. That's what he looks like. That's what I see when I watch him.
2027 recruit, already has offers from Colorado State, Utah, Kansas State, Washington State, Kansas. New Mexico, Nebraska has put their name in the hat as well. Certainly, and got to put it out there as well. If you saw his dad today, I think Dad goes at about 6'6", 6'7". So if he had another growing spurt, he'd become even more interesting, I would imagine.
Well, and he is also, considering interesting little connections, he is related to the Ori Milo that is committed to the softball team in 2025. So, clearly an athletic family.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that is kind of the top performance from Friday. We will go back through on Monday during the recruiting report as per usual and go over some of the other names that we mentioned. Jax Wilkerson, certainly going to be somebody that I think a lot of people around here is going to want to know, starring over at Carl Albert over the next couple years, and a number of other guys to get into from Friday's camp, and maybe even a couple guys that slid through the cracks on Thursday as well down at Brent Venables Football Camp. So, really good. That was a good camp today to kind of bounce back from yesterday. Not to say it was bad by any means, but a little bit more talent for sure in Norman on Friday morning. All right, that's going to do it for Josh. I'm Eddie. We'll see you back here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel.